Hello, you guys, and good morning. It's one of those mornings where I need a lot of caffeine to get through this week. So hi, all you winter foxes out there. It's about 2 weeks before Christmas, and I've just found out that I will be having to move all of the stuff in my apartment so they can put in new flooring. So even though you can't see it directly off camera, I have a ton of extra large moving boxes. And let's just say this week is going to be quite busy. However, I wanted to stick on this fun train of doing cosplay opinion videos, so I am back today to do my second controversial cosplay opinion. Whew, okay. I want to be really truthful when I make this video, and I have tried to record it multiple times, but the topic of today's video, which is going to be sexy and mature cosplay. Now, let me get into this first. It's a really hard one to talk about because I like to talk about things from a more philosophical and rational point of view versus using emotions or recent events to sway my opinion. And especially I think with this topic, it's really, really important that the way I'm talking to you guys about it is really honest and pure and makes sense about why certain things can feel so uncomfortable or weird or icky, like taking the emotion out of them and understanding why, like what are the reasons behind it and how might this affect the rest of our group. So one thing that I always like to bring up in videos is that cosplay, the community, it's a very large, diverse group of people of all backgrounds, ages, ethnicities from all over the world do it. And it's really, really hard to say any one thing is okay or not okay for a group as large and crazy big as this. But being in the world of cosplay, it is important that we learn to make boundaries about what might not really be okay for anyone in the group to do and what might not be okay for certain sectors or certain subgroups of this culture to be doing or not. That is why we're going to talk about sexy and mature cosplay and my controversial opinion about it. Now, it's kind of funny because I think no matter who talks about this subject, their opinion is going to be controversial because everyone has different lines and different gray areas and different backgrounds regarding this and everything in between. Myself, personally, I am a convention goer cosplayer. I don't like to compete. I don't even really like to just do online content. My love of cosplay comes from actually going to conventions, going there with friends, hanging out, having a good time. It's more of the social interaction for me is really what makes me love this hobby. However, I know a lot of cosplayers now who strictly do online content or who want more of an influencer status or a crafter status. Going to conventions is just it's lower on the shelf for them than it would be myself. And like I said in the last video, our opinions might differ based on what type of cosplay we do, what you've seen, how long you've been doing it, and also just the type of world of cosplay you've been exposed to. I really think many cosplayers who started in the mid to early 2000s, like I did, were exposed to the worst parts of cosplay before people really knew to stop it. And so therefore, I think my opinion might be a little bit spicier than others because I've seen what happens when you don't give people limitations, when you don't give people rules. I've seen what people will push and how they just run with it. And let's just say there are some people out there that really do have no boundaries. So I have an entire page of notes, guys, because I wanted to get all my thoughts down onto paper before I talk to you. So if you guys see me look down or look around, that's why I'm trying to collect my thoughts here. Okay, so the message that I want to get across as we're talking about sexy and mature cosplay. Your body type does not equal if your costume is sexy or not sexy. Whether you are thin, small, petite, whether you are tall, busty, curvy, whether the costume is just shorter on you than would be the average person or longer or however it fits on you. That does not equal a sexy cosplay. I think as someone who is a taller female, One thing that has always bugged me throughout my entire life, what I absolutely hate, is the fact that every cute dress that comes into style instantly looks like a mini dress on me, and I really hate it because I always see models wearing something cute, and so I buy it, and then I'm like, holy crap, this looks way shorter on me. And for myself, it doesn't really bug me. Like, if it's too short, I'll wear shorts under it or something. I don't tend to worry about that. But I have had so many people in my life comment on it, and especially as a girl going through middle school and high school, always getting called out and in trouble for wearing something that might be too short or too revealing. You learn to just like be afraid of certain types of clothing because you're always scared of what other people might be thinking, regardless of what you think, which I think is so stupid. So I don't want people to get the wrong idea. I don't want you to think just because you have a large bust or a large butt, or because you're tall, you can't wear certain types of costumes because it would be too sexy. That has nothing to do with today's video, and I think everyone should dress however they want. If you want to be nude, go for it. There might be some interesting looks in public or some repercussions if it's not legal, but as far as bodies go, our bodies are natural. There is nothing wrong with them, and we should dress however we want, not depending on your body type. So, what does make a cosplay costume sexy or mature? The context. And context is a word that you are going to hear throughout this video a whole lot. What is the message of the cosplay or photo that you are trying to get across? Now, we have all fallen in love with characters who just like naturally are kind of sexier. There's a lot of female characters, there's a lot of male characters in video games and movies and TV shows and anime and everywhere in between. And it's really, it can be hard to decide sometimes if you want to cosplay a character if their costume is very revealing, but cosplayers are creative and we've found ways to work around it. When I did Elderwood Aubrey, I wore a bathing suit bottom under her leaf skirt because I couldn't figure out like how to wear a leaf skirt that wouldn't be totally revealing. Some people put in modesty panels like a dance outfit or an ice skating outfit would have. Other people will just slightly alter the costume so it's less revealing, or maybe they'll wear like an extra layer with it or whatever it may be. But a lot of characters in video games and cosplay can be just naturally, they look sexier. They look like they're showing a lot of skin. They look like they're skin tight, whatever it may be. But really what it comes down to is the content of your photo or costume. What is the context behind it? And there's always two questions that people ask when it comes to sexy cosplay. Like, they want to know controversial opinions. I'm sure you guys are waiting for this. So number one, is it really cosplay? Honestly, I don't know and I don't care. Like, is a bikini any more a cosplay costume than a full suit of armor? I am not God in the cosplay universe. I can't make that determination or decision, and even if I could, it would make no difference because people will still do both. Bodies really don't bug me, so like whether you're doing an Elderwood Aubrey sort of costume or whether you're doing a costume that you're fully covered, I think it's all kind of cosplay in a way. The question number two, I think, is a little more important, which is it okay to dress or cosplay as it? That is where we start to hit the gray area of we really need to be careful about, okay, I'm just gonna go through this. Knowing your audience. So if you are posting content online, you're posting a picture or a video, knowing who is going to view that picture or video is so important because the context of your photo is probably going to change. The other thing is knowing what message your character is saying. So one example I can definitely give you, because I see it like all the time, like this is nothing new, this is pretty average, is how many cosplayers I see in their outfit splayed across a hotel bed with the sheets tangled around them, or like sitting on a bed at home with like lots of cutesy stuffed animals, but like their costume is really revealing. The messages that you're saying in those types of photos have nothing to do with the character that's in them and everything to do with the position the character is being put in. If you ever go to a photo shoot with a professional cosplayer and they are recommending you take pictures on a bed, They are trying to get a certain type of content that you may or may not have consented to, and that is why it's really, really important to know, like, is this appropriate and does the context make sense for the character? Because if it doesn't, that is when it starts to come off as sexual or mature content. Now, as cosplayers, we are all responsible for understanding what message we're trying to say with our costume, which is why you typically do not see many people at conventions wearing really controversial costumes, as in things that are from certain world wars that would probably get you arrested if you tried to walk downtown in them, or things that are disgusting or just not safe for life sort of material. You won't see that at conventions because as soon as people see it, they call it out, but also because it makes the wearer of it uncomfortable with the type of attention they're getting, which is typically shock value. People make sexy cosplays and wear sexy cosplays because the type of attention that they're getting is a mixture of shock value and a mixture of people who are into mature content getting it in an unexpected place. So if you're posting a sexy cosplay picture on a Facebook group that includes underage kids, people will defend you even though it's disgusting and it shouldn't be on there. The other thing is if you are wearing a cosplay to a convention that is really pushing the limits of that convention's rules that they have regarding overexposure, you're probably going to get a lot of photographers rushing up to take your picture because guess what? They post those pictures on their YouTube channel, their Facebook, they're gonna get a lot of likes and a lot of watches and views because guess what? Sex sells. It's not really how much attention you're getting or if people are okay with it or not. It's more about, is the attention the type you're looking for, and what are people going to do with this content once they have it? It's kind of windy out, so Washington in the winter, you guys. Okay, so does it make sense for the character is really all you have to ask yourself. Like, when I cosplay Aubrey and I go out to the park as an Elderwood Aubrey, or I go in front of a Christmas tree as a Christmas Aubrey, which I recently did at Emerald City, those areas and poses make sense for the character that I am currently doing. So like that's good. However, if I am cosplaying Aubrey and I am spread out on a bed with the sheets around me or on a fake fur rug in a very sexual pose, I am saying a totally different message, and those types of photos would not really be appropriate for the general audience, which includes underage kids. Okay, we're going to go to the second part of today's video where I'm going to talk about what is unacceptable cosplay. So like cosplay that is never okay to do anywhere, anytime. And yes, there is such things as unacceptable cosplay. I know, I'm blowing your mind, guys. I don't know what else to tell you, but if you are someone out there that has still been saying the message of all cosplay is good cosplay and everyone's cosplay is fair cosplay and they should be allowed to do it, then I'm gonna guess that you have not seen the worst of the worst online or at conventions before. So let me tell you guys a quick story. Let's get some caffeine into me. In the mid-2000s, when I first started doing cosplay, one thing that I noticed at SakuraCon when I went a lot was there was a ton of kink, and I don't really know what you would call it, like BDSM or like, not exactly revealing, but the context of the outfits were, I want people to join in on my kink because I'm getting something out of it, while these other people think it's like funny or entertaining and they don't really understand. So as we all know, cosplay is not consent, goes both ways. Because you are wearing a cosplay does not give you consent to expose other people to it. So if you're wearing like an inappropriate or a kink style costume, this is why you're not allowed to wear them at conventions anymore, because when conventions were first, getting big and getting popular, there were a lot of people that would bring their spouses on dog leashes, whipping them with yaoi paddles, and forcing the rest of us to have to watch and feel very uncomfortable. Like I said before, most things do not make me uncomfortable. I'm an artist. I've seen many nude bodies. I've been in many situations where I have seen content where I'm like, Okay, that's mature content out in the open. But what does bug me is the fact of when someone else makes a decision based on what they're okay with and forcing you to be okay with it as well, which is why cosplay conventions now have rules that say you're not allowed to have kink or sexual things out on the cosplay floor, as well as you're not allowed to have indecent or overexposure, because again, there are underage kids around. That would never, ever, ever fly in any other hobby. So when I'm talking about unacceptable cosplay, realize a lot of times it's because I've already seen it, and like you can obviously tell that there is something wrong with it or people should not be doing this. Okay, so the first type of unacceptable cosplay that I really think is so problematic, with the internet being as big and as popular and everyone glued to their phones, tablets, laptops all the time, myself included. I love myself a good Pinterest for 3 or 4 hours before I go to bed sometimes. So I'm very guilty of this. But we have a huge issue with people posting or bringing up mature type cosplay at groups or events where it does include underage children. Now, I am really pissed about this because I am a part of a lot of groups online that are strictly for creative cosplay. Like, it has nothing to do with showing off your cosplay. It's more to do with the how did you create it, what materials did you use, ask us questions, we'll ask you questions. I use these groups quite frequently when I have questions about trying to put together something that's difficult, or if I like break something in my costume, I'm trying to figure out how do I fix this at the last second. There is a lot of creative minds that meld together. However, these groups include underage children because there is no age filter for them. So that group that you're asking questions on may have a 16-year-old, a 13-year-old, a 10-year-old, maybe even younger on there. So when I see people posting or bringing up how to do something that is completely like R-rated, I get so pissed because I remember being 14 years old and being exposed to things that I was really not okay with at that age. However, I was too young to really understand why it was really inappropriate for me and like what the consequences were of seeing stuff like that. Facebook and Instagram will always have issues because as many moderators as there are out there, there are people that make fake profiles, there are people that use other people's profiles. Like, people are gonna find that sort of content. But I really truly feel that Facebook and Instagram are not made to have R-rated or mature content. The only people that are posting that stuff on there are people that are finding the loopholes to get through it, and their audience just happens to be totally fine with it. I think at some point these groups or people do get like banned once moderators find them. So it's kind of just a fact of making a profile, finding that loophole, seeing how long you can use the loophole, and then when you get caught, you just make a new thing. And I think that one thing that we need to realize is that people are not consenting to this. If you are on the Kamui cosplay page and you're on there to get tutorials from her and to talk to other cosplayers around the world and you're like having a lot of fun with that, the last thing you want to see is a girl posing on a bed half nude, because that's not the type of content we're there for. So I think that in all aspects, unless the group specifically is for mature or R-rated content only, or is 18 and up only, especially like Reddit pages, like if you want to make that type of material, there are certain places that you can go to post it and be around other people that make it. But I think the people who are making mature content are specifically posting on Instagram and Facebook because they know that there are few people that are doing it there, and they will get more shock value by doing it in those groups. Like, it's not that people are really like, oh, this is inappropriate to do here, I didn't know. It's more like they know what they're doing. They're smart about it. Don't think people are stupid. Like, don't underestimate them. Just the other day when I was on Cosplay Stitch and Seam, which is an awesome podcast, I highly recommend it for anyone. I follow their Facebook group. When I was scrolling through, there is a little tab that says groups recommended for you based on this group and who's in it. And it was a cosplay group that was literally just called Cosplay Group. And the picture was a... God, this is so freaking horrible. The picture was a Japanese girl who had face-tuned her face till it was unrecognizable, who was in a towel looking like she was about to expose herself. And I was like, for one, how is this even cosplay? And for two, why is this popping up on this group unless a majority of these group members are also on this page for like mature content? It was really weird, and there was no mention of like 18 and up or R-rated or MA or anything. So like anyone could get into that group. That's how easy it is online. Little scary. So if you decide that you really need to do Bikini Pikachu and you just have to wear that teeny tiny thong bikini, understand where is it mature to post that content or wear it, and where is it not will get you far. Okay. The second part of just totally unacceptable cosplay that I think is never okay to do in any aspect. I am so glad I heard recently another cosplayer talk about this. Her name is Shell Bell. I highly recommend her channel as well. Doing a character that is underage in the source content. So taking a character from an anime, from a Disney film, from a Pixar film, from an old cartoon, whatever it may be, and taking that innocent underage character and now over-sexualizing them or creating R-rated or mature content with that. God, it is so freaking disgusting, because every time I see someone taking Marceline from Hotel Transylvania, wait, is that her name? Yeah, I think that's her name, and putting her in a super short skirt with thigh-high stockings and obviously over-sexualizing the pose, I just think, who are you marketing this towards? Because that original Pixar movie was marketed towards children, and now you are taking the character, sexualizing them, and trying to market them towards what? Like children that accidentally discover this? Teenagers? Adults who will think it's funny or like get off on Pixar or Disney? I don't really understand that. I think it's definitely shock value, and for me, I think it's gross because it makes me feel like stuff that I enjoy that's innocent and just for fun, like that's not enough. It has to be sexualized. And we live in a world where literally everyone and everything has become sexualized. So like, why do we need to ruin cartoons? Why do we need to ruin our innocent movies and shows as well? There's also some boundary lines that we really need to set down, because once we cross them, there really is no going back. So I have seen multiple of that Hotel Transylvania girl being over-sexualized. Like, you see one cosplayer do it, and you see 10 cosplayers follow them, and then you see 100 cosplayers follow them. Like, it spreads. If people release really shocking or mature content in an area that's easy to find, more and more people do it because they see the attention it gets, and it catches like wildfire. So we have to be really careful in like letting that stuff slip through, because the more stuff that no one calls out, the more people do it. If we don't set boundary lines in cosplay as well, we will run into the issue again of like the old school conventions where people will literally force you to consent to things that you are not consenting to. Okay, and the last part that I do want to talk about unacceptable cosplay, and I feel like this is so stupid that I even have to bring this up, but I feel like there are some people out there who might fight me on this, so I better just say it. Little or no costume does not equal cosplay. You put on that wig to be Sailor Moon and you take off all your clothes, that is not cosplay anymore. That is mature content. And we need to really be cautious with how we are wording things, because that is how people find content online. And by linking cosplay to sexual or mature content, we are now making a very weird gray area of like, okay, if I say I'm a character, can I literally do anything and like still pretend to be them? As in, can I make R-rated or mature content just wearing a wig and I'm still that character? I truly believe that the minute that you start to take off your clothes, get nude, pose for pictures, you are no longer cosplaying that character. You are now just a mature or R-rated actress or actor doing content in that way. We don't want to link cosplay to fetishes either, because again, you are forcing people to consent to something that they are not actually consenting to, and it also makes very weird boundary lines of like, Can I say I'm cosplaying as like someone from history who did like horrible, evil acts and just say, it's fine guys, because I'm just doing cosplay. Like, it's fine that I'm in my Nazi uniform because it's a cosplay, right? We're just having fun, guys. Like, we have to be very, very careful with how we do material that is already kind of sexualized. But the minute that you throw on that Sailor Moon cosplay and you take off your shirt and you're posing nude or partially nude in it, I truly believe that is not cosplay anymore. That is strictly just literally pornography, pretty much, or MA content. I don't want people to fight me on this, but I know people out there will say, well, some people are just nude in anime, some people are just nude in manga. And while I do understand that, guys. Like, I read Spicy Wolf. I understand. Some characters are sometimes nude because they are not human or whatever. There is very tasteful ways to do costumes, and then there is ways to do costumes where it's pretty obvious that it's R-rated content. And yeah, we need to keep that boundary line because we don't want to start linking like, oh, it's fine as long as the character once was nude to like do all these sexualized pictures. I still don't think that's okay, and I still don't think that's cosplay. Again, cosplay, costume play. There's no costume involved, therefore it's not cosplay. That's all you have to do to the name. Okay guys, so I'm gonna end today's video as I've talked so much, but I want to say thank you so much for coming back and listening to my second opinion. I'm gonna be doing more of these, so if you're interested or you want to hear my thoughts on other things, just come back, hang out, and listen. I will talk to you guys soon, so have a good day and have a good almost holidays. Okay, bye guys.